we have studied that the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha and the President together make up the Parliament of India. So, the two houses, which is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, have almost equal powers. The two areas in which the Lok Sabha has more powers than the Rajya Sabha are in the passing of money bills and that the Council of Ministers are responsible to the Lok Sabha only. We've also seen how the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha represent the population of India in very different manner, but they are partners in running the government together. So, we know that in India there is a federal setup, which means that powers are distributed between the central government and the state governments. The main function of the parliament is to make laws or to legislate. So the legislative powers are the law-making powers. And these powers, just like any other powers, are also divided between the central government and the state government. The body of law which represents the central government is called the Parliament. It is the Union Legislature of India. And the bodies that make laws at the state level are the state legislatives. So the Parliament is the central government's law-making body, which is divided into the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So here we can understand that the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha represent the central government and the state legislatures represent the state governments. On the basis of this separation of powers between the central government and the state government, we have three lists, which are the Union List, the State List and the Concurrent List. The items that are listed under these three lists are up for legislation by the central government and the different state governments. So we have the Union List, the State List and the Concurrent List. Let us get into the details. So Union means the center or the central government. The subjects of national importance come under the Union List. Since the Union is concerned with matters of national importance or national issues, so the Union List deals with matters of national importance. So all the subjects of national importance come under the Union List. And only the Parliament, which is the representative of the central government or the Union, has the exclusive power to legislate on these subjects. There are 97 subjects in the Union List. What are these subjects? Certain examples of these subjects are defense, foreign affairs, atomic energy and banking. Now, why are these subjects of national importance? Let us take the example of defense. When we say defense of a country, we mean protecting the country and resisting attack from other foreign countries. Now, let us take a look at the situation of West Bengal. So, West Bengal, as we can see here, it is marked in light grey. It shares its border with three foreign countries. The eastern border with Bangladesh, the northeastern border with Bhutan and the northwestern border with Nepal. Let's imagine that one of these countries attacks India. Will West Bengal then individually be responsible for resisting this attack? Or would the entire country want to protect the nation and West Bengal from this attack? It will be the entire nation. So the entire country will decide what relations it will have with these foreign countries and hence sends the Indian National Army to resist this attack. Let's also take a look at West Bengal here. It is a part of the whole of India. So if West Bengal has been attacked from outside, the invaders might then spread to the other states of India. So this becomes a security concern for the whole of India, which is why defense is under the union list. Other things like foreign affairs, atomic energy or banking also have their reasons as to why they should be included in the national list, because they are of national importance. Do you know that money and currency is also under the union list? So in 2016, when demonetization happened, the union government had the power to scrape the old currency and bring out the new notes or the new currency. Now let us go into the second list after the union list, which has its legislation by the union government. We have the state list, subjects under which are legislated by the individual states, by their state legislatures. So the state government has the authority to make laws on subjects of local or state importance. So these subjects are of state importance and concern only local or state issues. There are 66 subjects in the state list. So 66 subjects. And what are some examples of these 66 subjects? We have police, we have trade and commerce, and we have agriculture. Just like defense is concerned with resisting attack from outside nations, police is concerned with maintaining the law and order within a locality or in a state. Now let's imagine that it's a Sunday night and you have gone out for a party. You come home to see that your house has been robbed. But does your house being robbed put the entire country under a security threat? No. It's only in the local area or the state which might be affected. So police is concerned with the state. Hence, police is a matter of the state list. Now we've learnt about the union list and the state list. But since all the states of India together make up the nation, the union list has some higher powers, or it has been given more powers to deal with laws than the state governments. So we'll see when the parliament can legislate on subjects which are under the state list. So the first one is under a proclamation of national or state emergency. So when there is an emergency in the country, there needs to be uniform laws throughout the country. So individual states cannot legislate on matters. So during an emergency, the parliament or the national body gets to legislate on the subjects of the state list. The second point is that if the members of the Rajya Sabha pass a resolution with 2/3 majority, this majority is a special majority, saying that the matter in the state list has assumed national importance. Then the parliament can legislate on a subject under the state list. But a law that has been made in this process will not become a permanent law. It will become a temporary law which will have a validity of 1 year. The third instance can be if 2 or more states pass a resolution. So the opinion of the states is also very important. And if 2 or more states have passed a resolution saying that they want the parliament to legislate on a matter that is under the state list, then the parliament is empowered to do so. But since it is based on opinion, this law will only work in those states which have consented to this. And the last situation can be during an international treaty. What happens during an international treaty is an agreement between two countries. So here it is important that the interests, ideas and laws of the entire nation have to be represented and not of the individual states. So when there is an international treaty between two countries, the union legislature, that is the parliament, gets the chance to legislate on a subject which is initially under the state list. Now we have discussed the subjects which fall under the union list and subjects which fall under the state list. So we come here to the concurrent list. The concurrent list is one which consists of subjects on which the parliament as well as the state legislatures can make laws. There are 47 subjects in the concurrent list. What are some examples of these? We have population control, marriage and divorce, newspapers. So these fall under the concurrent list, which can be legislated on by the state government as well as the central government. The division of subjects into the union list, state list and the concurrent list ensures the maintenance of the federal structure of the country. But what happens if the union government interferes too much into the lawmaking power of the states? Let us take an example of agriculture. So, agriculture is a state subject, which means that the state has the power to legislate on all agricultural matters. But we have to understand that for about 60% of India's population, their primary source of livelihood is agriculture. So the center also has to give certain income benefits or income guarantees which make sure that the farmers have a steady income all throughout the year. The prices of crops tend to rise and fall very suddenly. So the center has to give certain guarantees that the farmers will get an income all around the year. For example, sometimes the center buys crops from the farmers at the minimum support price or the MSP. This acts as a safety guarantee and it ensures that even if the crop prices fall suddenly, the farmers can sell off their crops at a proper price. Now, if we consider all of this, then these provisions under the central and the concurrent list have legal justifications for the central intervention in the state matters of agriculture. This very issue took the form of the farmers' protest of 2020, where a lot of state governments said they wanted agriculture to fall exclusively under the state list and that the intervention of the center into the matters of agriculture was having a damaging impact on the economy of the state. What do you think? Do you think that matters like agriculture should fall exclusively under the state list? Or do you think that since the states make up the nation, the center also should have some powers here? Our constitution was adopted in 1949. It has been 70 years since that. Don't you think we have progressed since then? We have developed newer technologies and several scientific developments have occurred. For example, from this computer, we have gone to laptops and there has been a development of computer software. Also, previously we used to have paper money only, but today with paper money, we also have e-money or electronic money. So, there has been a progress to e-commerce as well. The framers of our constitution, when they created the constitution, did not even imagine that these things would be there today. So, of course, these matters or these subjects did not make it to any of the lists, not the union list, the state list or the concurrent list. So, these matters and subjects go into the residuary list. Residuary comes from the word residue, which just means left over. So, these subjects got left over when the constitution was made. So, the subjects which are included under this residuary list fall under the legislative powers of the central government. Do you think that maybe many years down the line, subjects related to the colonization of Mars or citizenship of Mars will appear in our constitution. If these subjects come into existence, then these subjects will also be a part of our residuary list. When we had previously talked about sessions, we had seen that sessions do not go on throughout the year. There are gaps between these sessions. Have you ever imagined what will happen if the parliament is not in session and there is a need for an important urgent announcement or an urgent law to be passed? The constitution has a solution for that too. During these times, an ordinance can be passed. So, any law promulgated by the president on advice of the central government in those circumstances when the parliament is not in session is called an ordinance. During these times when the parliament is not in session, the cabinet ministers such as the Union Finance Minister, the Minister of Home Affairs, the Defense Minister, the Minister of External Affairs, all of these people can advise the president to approve a bill. Simply put, an ordinance is a law passed by the government without obtaining the blessings of the legislature. It gives the president an extra power when the parliament is not in session. With the passing of an ordinance, urgent legislative action can be taken when the parliament is not in session. For example, in 2020, when the sessions of the parliament had to be cut short or reduced because of the spread of COVID-19, the president promulgated the Epidemic Disease Amendment Ordinance, which guaranteed protection to healthcare personnel who were fighting in the front line and expanded the powers of the central government to prevent the spread of COVID. It also has to be noted that an ordinance must be approved by the parliament within 6 weeks of reassembly. So, when the parliament is back in session again, within 6 weeks, the ordinance has to be approved by the parliament. Otherwise, it will cease to exist. Now, throughout this video, we have learnt about the legislative powers of the parliament. We have known that to maintain the federal structure of India, there have been division of powers into the central government and the state governments. The subjects on which laws can be made have been divided into 3 lists: the union list, the state list, and the concurrent list. The union list contains subjects of national importance. The state list consists of subjects of state importance. And the parliament and the state legislatures can legislate on subjects which fall under the concurrent list. We've also talked about the residuary list, which contains subjects which are not present in any of the other 3 lists. And finally, we've talked about what an ordinance is, and that it can be passed when the parliament is not in session. So, all of these together make up the legislative functions of the parliament. The parliament also has other powers and functions about which we will be learning soon.